Welcome to Glow 365 for The Mia Allman Show, presented by Official Woman of Culture. I am your host, Coach Lady Mia. I'm a certified master life coach and certified mental health counselor and practitioner who shares honest conversations on the important issues that affect men and women, and the importance of living healthy by embracing and celebrating our cultural heritage, and so much more. And now, let's get started. Welcome to the Mia Allman Show, presented by Official Woman of Culture 365. Thank you all for tuning in right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. I'm Coach Lady Mia, your host. You can also watch us on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows and subscribe for all your upcoming shows. Even though October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for many who have been diagnosed or on their journey of survivorship, like myself, it's an ongoing conversation. Breast cancer is a very serious disease and the second most common cancer among women worldwide. It's important to understand and know the risk factors, symptoms, early prevention, and screening that are available. Today's show is entitled Breast Cancer, Know the Facts, Part 1 of a three-part series. About 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Each year in the United States, about 240,000 cases of breast cancer in women and about 2,100 in men. About 42,000 women and 500 men in the United States will die each year from breast cancer. Black women have a higher rate of death from breast cancer than any other women. My guest today is Dr. Ronald Lynch, who's no stranger to Go, sharing his expertise on various aspects of breast cancer and maintaining wellness. Dr. Lynch, welcome back, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the Mia Allman Show.
Well, thank you, Lady Mia. I am so glad that you made it a priority to single out this month and to recognize the challenges that our women in our communities face. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you back on again. And for the folks that don't know who you are, can you share a little about yourself? Because I know you have a lot of accolades that probably take us a whole show just to talk about it.
Well, I would say that I'm from a Jamaican stock of parents and had the privilege of knowing and going to the island myself and appreciating the culture and the food and the music. And growing up in New York, I was fascinated by science. I found myself going to Oakwood College, which is now Oakwood University. I went on to Howard University and finally to the University of Maryland Medical School and practiced here in Central Florida for a good 25 years. And during which time I took a particular interest in women's health and actually did work with thermography. And so I really became very interested in breast cancer because I think breasts represent something very special. And as you know, mammary glands or breasts is a distinguishing feature of mammals. And the purpose of breast, the primary purpose, is to produce milk so that we can nourish the offspring that are born very immature and very dependent. So I look at breasts as a way that women nourish. They nourish not only their babies, but women nourish the world with their knowledge and with their kindness, etc. So these breasts mean a lot. I regard them as being like Mother Earth.
Yes, they are. Now, this month, is dedicated, for breast cancer awareness. But, cancer, breast cancer, all cancer is, all year long. Why is it so important, not just to raise awareness in October, but for all year long?
Well, one of the things that you've already made very clear is that the mortality rate or the death rate is still higher for African American women than for white or even for Hispanic, Asian, and there has to be maybe something that we can do to improve our odds of surviving. And what it will amount to is that women will have to take a greater responsibility for themselves. And so if we know, if we have more facts, then we can make better decisions. It's really not just up to the medical system to do the screening and the testing and then the treating. We have a large part to play in understanding more about it, not being afraid. I think a lot of women sometimes are afraid of this gift that they have been given. But as I think about it, Mia, I'm thinking that if the primary purpose of breasts are for nourishing our children, and also it does help the uterine to kind of come back into shape, but mothers pass on immunity to their newborn children. So we've got to learn how to protect our breasts, and it's not just about getting or not getting breast cancer. There actually may be ways of helping to protect our breasts. And I'll just give you one example. Maybe women should not wear breasts that are shouldn't wear bras that are extremely tight, because maybe they literally need to breathe and to not be so congested together. So there's a lot of choices that women can make, and we're going to talk about some of those as we go forward.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier, it's so important to know um, the information as far as, risk factors. And I want to talk about those because, again, if we know what these risk factors are, we can prevent, or lessen the risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer. Can you break some of them down for our listeners?
Sure, sure. And I would hasten to say that they can be broken down in several components, but they're also, they could be genetic, they could be hormonal, they could be environmental. But let's start with age, because that's a really biggie. The risk of breast cancer does increase as women get older, and when women get over the age of 50, that is sort of representative of being postmenopausal. That generally menopause can happen somewhere about that point. They have to get more regular testing. But a phenomena that is happening now, Lady Mia, is that younger and younger women, especially our women, are starting to show up with a breast cancer diagnosis in their early 30s and some in their late 20s. So so age is becoming an issue, and so women, young ladies in high school and middle school are going to start to have to learn more about their breast health, because breast cancer is happening in their 30s and 40s, and we need to know how we can catch those so that the best treatment options can occur. So age is an issue. Younger women are having more problems, but generally risk is higher in older women. As far as gender, you've made it very clear already that this is not just a phenomena of women. And so 1% of all breast cancers is attributed to men. And I think you gave a number of about 500 men a year may actually come to an untimely death because of something that typically we would think of as being rendered to women. So, but women do have the predominant amount, and you also gave a statement that it was almost 200,000 women are diagnosed every year.
Yeah.
Roughly 45 to 50,000 may die. Family history: women who have sisters, aunts, or mothers or grandmothers that have had breast cancer need to take a special interest in being screened early. And with all of the DNA testing that goes on, we should all have a family tree. Mia, what do you think about that? Do you think a lot of your listeners take the time to look into what other family members have as far as sicknesses?
Not really, because, again, we're from the Caribbean and even in the African American community, sometimes those things are like hush hush. So you don't know, when you go to the doctor and you have to write down, your first time, what's your family history of they ever had cancer, stroke, heart attack. And if you don't know, you don't put nothing.
Hmm.
So it's important to ask those questions of family history and, yes, family, grandparents need to put all that, pride aside and let's save some lives.
Yeah, well, while I was doing a little bit of research uh, for tonight, I realized that even though we are specifically talking about breast cancer, that if your father has prostate cancer or someone else had ovarian or endometrial cancer, that could also lead one to say, you know what, maybe I should get an early screening. So it's not just breast cancer; it's principally that, but we're going to have to start paying attention to who in the family, who in the bloodline may have had any of those other three things that I just mentioned. Another issue directly is the genetic connection. And so this is where we may talk about BRCA1 or BRCA2. The initials BRCA, we'll just abbreviate them in that kind of a way. But when someone has that particular genetic mutation, they will likely uh, uh, be looked at as a higher risk person. And we've had a couple of people in Hollywood who have had that particular gene. So it's called the BRCA1 or the BRCA2. But if our listeners can quiz the maternal parts of the family and find out who's had what, and not be so secretive, because now information is key. And so we
Yes.
should all have some type of a family tree to know about these genetics.
And
Hormone,
I
yes,
actually had those that done years later. And it was actually my niece told me about it because I had my mom, my mom's sisters, it's like five of them had cancer. So, a lot of times, sometime I was hearing that, the insurance don't always pay for it. So you have to have a significant increase in, risk of, having cancer. And me having five aunts
yes,
that
yes,
had, from leukemia to breast cancer, stomach cancer, the high yards. But luckily, the test came back because I think it took almost a month before it came back, and it came back negative, which was, a positive thing.
yes, indeed, indeed.
Mhm,
I would just kind of piggyback on the point that we need not be so secretive
mhm.
about our health. We always want to put a good foot forward, but the truth of our well-being may be able to help others along the way. So let's not be selfish and keep information
Mhm.
away from the rest of the family. Now, women who have used hormones like birth control pills could actually put them at some risk. Women who have used uh, HRT, it's regarded as hormone therapy after menopause may also be at higher risk. So
Mhm.
so the use of hormones have to be discussed very carefully with your primary care person, so that the right choices could be made, because hormones control so many important things in our bodies. And we should remind the audience that breast cancer, just like prostate cancer, is a hormone related cancer. It's driven by hormone. And once you get the diagnosis, your doctors will sometimes give you medications that will block your estrogen, or for the men, will block their testosterone. So we need to understand more about the endocrine system, the hormone system, and anything that would disturb or distort or disrupt our hormone system. So the common one I said was birth control, and the second one was HRT.
Mm-hmm.
A next factor that we have is actually radiation, and I was discovering today that those women that do a lot of flying in airplanes could be at higher risk because they have a little bit more radiation exposure. If you get too many X-rays or get too many CAT scans of the upper part of your body, you're getting higher radiation levels. If you're using a cell phone and you're sticking it down into your sports bra or any bra,
Mm-hmm.
where it sometimes seems convenient, let me just stick my phone down here, you could be also endangering yourself and exposing yourself to that's known as a non-ionizing form of radiation, but it's still not good for you to have any radiation. And that brings up wearing bras that have the metallic pieces, which could act like an antenna. So hopefully it's I mean, I don't go shopping for bras, but I think that I have not seen any metallic pieces like I may have used to. What do you say about that? Do you still see and know that women will have certain metallic components to their bras?
I think what I've been seeing, if they do have it, it's more of a plastic
Okay.
in there. Like the wire part is more of a plastic, but now they're getting into bras that, without, they have the same support, but they don't have those wire
Okay.
anymore. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
So I think they replaced that wire and put in more of a plastic inside, but I haven't seen that in a good while.
Okay. Okay. Um, Another factor is breastfeeding.
Hmm.
And when we go back to what I started out with, that the purpose of the breast is to feed the young, feed this dependent baby. Then maybe by breastfeeding, we're able to not only discharge milk from the breast, but if there are any impurities that we're going to come to a little bit later on, that might be the right avenue for things to come out. So women who do not breastfeed, who don't have that privilege of breastfeeding, they may be at higher risk for breast cancer. And we're going to talk about chemicals later on, but I came to find out that some chemicals that we're exposed to may not allow some women to breastfeed as long as they may want to. It would be good to breastfeed for at least 6 months.
Okay.
And even though it's for nourishing the baby, the woman gets a value because she's able to empty out the milk ducts. And that's exactly where cancer is able to form, and hence the name, which we'll get to later on, but is ductal carcinoma. When we talk about breast cancer, by the way, they generally will refer to ductal carcinoma, and that could be invasive or non-invasive. And the non-invasive form mean that it didn't really get out of the ducts yet. It's still inside the ducts, and they call that DCIS, or ductal carcinoma in situ. So the worst, kind of a worse format of it is invasive breast cancer, and that would be still located in the ducts, ductal carcinoma. The other place that they may show up where the diagnosis could be made is lobular breast cancer. And the third would be inflammatory breast cancer. But the most common by far occurs in the ducts. And that's where we get the name from, ductal. And that's why we'd like to release the milk as much and as long as possible. And that'll reduce a woman's chance of developing breast cancer. Not eliminate it, but we'll reduce it. A year would be nice. 2 years would be nice, but a minimum of 6 months is what I hear. Do you have any comments about that at all?
Now, for some, I know sometimes some women do have trouble breastfeeding. They may be able to breastfeed at the beginning, but then, sometimes their breasts start to get sore, their nipples, and they can't. but it's still important, in your opinion, to just keep pumping? Because I know that they can give you, I think, pills, because I had that issue, my first son, and they actually gave me a pill to dry up my milk. But for those that don't choose to take that, just continue just to keep pumping.
Yeah, I think pumping would be. I think this could be a small game changer. That pumping the breast may be able to eliminate some of the poisons that get locked up in this fatty tissue.
Hmm.
So I would definitely recommend that, but be reminded that certain types of environmental chemicals are responsible for making it difficult for some women to have available milk for their babies. It's not, you're not a bad person. You didn't do anything wrong, and it wasn't because you didn't drink enough milk, for
Hmm.
example. But that's a really important thing, because that's how women would, in a sense, detoxify their breasts
Yeah.
by simply by breastfeeding. The next issue would be alcohol. Now, uh, many of us like to have a drink of alcohol in the form of beer or wine, but if it's not done in moderation, it can be a problem. And many studies have linked alcohol consumption to elevations in that risk. And so each of us has to decide what we want to do. When I think about alcohol consumption, I think to myself that women are under a lot of stress. They have so much on their plates, whether it's the the regular work that they have to do to maintain food for the children, or for the family, for themselves. But some may look at having some alcohol as a way to reduce stress, and so maybe there is some kind of balance that can be struck to relax, and yet not overindulge. But it is nice to chill out sometime. What do you think about that? How often do you see your lady friends wanting to indulge in some alcohol, and what advice do you give them?
I think something, the weekends, it's a Friday and they want to get out and they, have a drink. And then there's some that, maybe have a glass of wine, at dinner. But again, you just have to do that stuff in, moderation, not talking about the ones that go at, every weekend, or you drinking, excessively, uh,
Hmm.
every day. As soon as you get home, you have a couple glasses of wine,
Yeah.
or the weekend, you just drunk, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
And if we were to try to make a relationship, something just came to me, and that is that alcohol has a reputation sometimes of actually being sort of heart healthy. We'll give red wine, that much credit, but it is also recognized that it can lead to some liver problems.
Yes.
And when it comes to detoxing the body of toxins and poisons and things that shouldn't be in the body, the liver is queen. The liver is very, very critical, and it has to be functioning right in order for us to break down and to send to the kidneys what needs to be eliminated, or to send it further down the digestive system so we can get it out altogether. But if you have a liver that has cirrhosis, if you have a liver that is fatty, if you have a liver that has high liver enzymes because of drinking, because you wanted to relax but didn't realize that you were putting damage to your liver, you may not be able to get these things out of your body as effectively. So then we come to the next item, which would be that we probably shouldn't be smoking. I think in 2023, a woman would have to be under some dire stress to feel like, you know what, I got to pull out my my stogies, my cigarettes. And so you could almost imagine that it just couldn't make sense to put carbon monoxide and about 300 other poisons into your lungs which gets distributed throughout your entire body, putting you at risk for lung cancer and poor circulation and a whole host of issues. So let's make a decision that if we are smoking, we are going to we're going to quit. And that may go for vaping a little less.
Yeah.
I know some of our young people feel like, well, at least I'm not smoking. And yeah, maybe vaping is not quite as dangerous as smoking, but you want to protect your lungs as much as possible. And then we get into diet can be a risk. So if the diet has too much in the way of sugar, too much in the way of fructose, refined starches, or too much in the way of fats, we're going to have a problem. And what we have to think of is that these wonderful, magnificent breasts that women have is filled with fatty tissue that will absorb fatty materials. And so if you're having bad fats, that's a problem. So what about some olive oil? What about avocado oil? What other oils do you use, Mia, that you think are registered as healthy?
I mean, I use olive oil, virgin olive oil. I stopped using all the other oils. I've used some grapeseed oil.
Very
We
good,
have
very good,
coconut oil.
very good.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I try to stay with the healthy
Mhm.
oils.
And you mentioned the grapeseed oil, and what's phenomenal about the grapeseed oil is that if you do have to take that to a high temperature in your cooking, it can take that and still remain stable. Now, some of your listeners may not know that olive oil really shouldn't be heated. It should be used mostly at room temperature, maybe a little touch to heat. But if you heat the oils for too long, you can disrupt them and destroy them, and you won't get any benefit from them.
Yeah. And
Um,
we're
uh,
talking about also the one too, the cold press
yes, yes.
olive oil.
Cold press or virgin
Mhm.
olive oil are and so we need to understand what are healthy oils, which brings up, we like French fries, but sometimes at some of the fast food joints, they continue to reuse oils, and when you reuse some of those oils, they're actually rancid. And so when you are eating nuts, which is a very good thing, you should always take a smell to make sure that the smell is a healthy smell, so you know that the oil is not spoiled, because that can even make things worse. We definitely don't want any trans saturated fats. And so we're going to continue to think and talk about what mom and grandma and auntie used to tell us. You need to have more mangoes and bananas and oranges and kiwis, your vegetables. I'm falling in love with sweet potato. The Japanese eat purple sweet potato, and they live a long life because
Mhm.
of that particular potato. But whole grains, fiber, those are all very critical. I read a study this week that said that women that drink the most amount of milk may have more chance to develop breast cancer. So even with the milk choices, they should be low fat, 1% or 2%, or even consider almond milk or
Mhm.
cashew milk. There's oat milk, and so when you take these other types of milks, you don't get the hormones, like the growth hormone that they give to cows. Yes, they give cows antibiotics and growth hormones, and so a cow is milked often during pregnancy, and when that happens, there's more estrogen inside that milk product. So I think that we're going to have to begin to look to some alternatives as we get beyond a certain age, and I think that our diets can show an improvement.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch, for sharing all that vital information on some of the risk factors. Again, folks, it's so important to be aware of these risk factors for breast cancer and to take these steps to reduce the risk of developing this disease. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more with Dr. Lynch on the different types of prevention and breast cancer screening. So keep it locked right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio. We'll be right back.
It's time again for the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's annual Thanksgiving Drive. Please support our effort by donating any of the non-perishable items listed on our flyer. Those donations may be delivered to Silver Star Christian Church, 7510 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida, on Sundays, 12:30 till 2 p.m. Or call 407-486-5001 or 407-292-3719, and one of our members will arrange to collect those items from you. The drop-off cutoff is November 12th, 2023. You may give cash donations at jaaocf.com. So thank you so much in advance for doing your part this year to help a family in need for Thanksgiving.
This is your girl, Adriana Clark, and you are now listening into Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. I invite you to join me every Saturday for Saturday Praise, when we come and we give God all the glory and all the thanks. Tune in every Saturday, 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. and make sure you keep it locked to CRRFM.com, giving you a little bit of everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
Welcome back to the Mia Allman Show right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Dr. Lynch, I want to talk about some of the prevention, the screening for both men and women that will help lower their risk. Can you share some of those?
Well, yes, and in general, the standardized test that we could look to for screening, breast cancer screening, would be the classic of the mammogram. And women generally, starting from the age of about 45, should definitely begin having mammograms, especially if there's family history. You may even want to start a little earlier. As I mentioned earlier, there are now women showing up in their 30s. And so those women may not necessarily want to be getting mammography, which offers radiation every year, but maybe we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to recommend an initial screening, maybe at age 30 for Black women. Maybe that could be repeated based upon the results. But I'd start with a mammogram as a very important tool. That mammogram, some have accused it of causing some discomfort. You know, it sort of puts the breast into a vice grip. And though it may be uncomfortable, it's probably more uncomfortable to find out that you have a breast cancer that you didn't know about, and you let it grow because you didn't get a screening. So yes, we may have to bite the bullet. They tell me it's not quite as bad as having a baby, but the value that may come from that uncomfortable procedure, just as uncomfortable, I might add, as it might be to have a finger going into a man's rectum to try to detect prostate cancer. So yes, some things in life are going to be uncomfortable, but it counted a privilege that we live in a country where these types of testing are available. Before I get too far, let us remind our audience that women need to be and stay familiar with their own breasts.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that perhaps on a monthly, weekly basis, when we take our showers, when we put lotion and oils and creams on our bodies, that we should become familiar. You know, it may not be so much that you're trying to detect the tumor, but rather that you're trying to get familiar so that one day when you do check yourself, you say, hey, I didn't feel that before. Something doesn't feel right. So a regular self examinations are very critical. Then I would add to that when you get to your OBGYN or your family doctor, they may have a better procedure, they may have a better protocol, a better style, a more systematic way, and they're changing your position. Your hand is maybe on your head, your elbow is up, so they may be able to reach certain things. So a doctor's breast exam is also very crucial, and that can begin, I would say, from the early 30s, that you should think about having someone to know what your breasts feel like and to document what that may be. If you don't need an actual mammogram and you're doing self breast exams and your doctor is doing exams, that takes you a long way. So now let's suppose that they do find something that feels funny. It could be fibrocystic breast problems, which can happen during a certain time in the menstrual cycle. There may be a lump, and there's not any good reason to panic about that, because those lumps will disappear perhaps by the next month or two. But if you do have a little lump, that can be evaluated by an ultrasound. An ultrasound is a sound wave test, which is generally not painful. There's no needle, there's no radiation, and it should be able to give a good picture of what is going on in both the left or right breast and under the armpit as well. A next test that is very standard is the magnetic resonance imaging, which we would refer to as the MRI. And that MRI test, which is a magnetic field-based test, which is, doesn't really give radiation, it gives a magnetic field, but it's actually designed more for a detailed look. So if the doctor sees something, he's questioning, he's wondering, what the heck is this? He may want to use an MRI scan to get into the nitty-gritty of the testing. And I would say for some women who have access, who have interest, there is another testing mechanism. I'm not going to spend any time on it, but it is known as thermography. And this is using a special camera that doesn't use any radiation and is able to see, you might say, the inflammation, or see hot spots in the breast that may or may not be cancer, could be fibroids, it could be some other fibrous changes, but there are some non-insurance type tests like thermography that some women may want to look into. Any thoughts or any questions about any of those screening tools that we just mentioned?
Yeah, I want to go back to the breast self-exam, because I know a lot of times women may feel in the breast area, but you also have to go up into the underarm, because that's one of the things when, I was diagnosed with cancer, I felt a lump in my underarm. I was always had like fibrocystic for years, even though I felt a lump in my breast. Again, I thought it was fibrocystic, but then now it's in my underarm, which now, it spread from the lymph nodes. So, is it so important that we check not just the breast, but also in underarm area?
And that underarm area, we call that the axilla.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there is breast tissue in that axilla. And one of the things that I would hasten to say is that women have to be cautious about the type of deodorant that they may wear, because some of the
Yes.
deodorants that have aluminum may actually clog up the pores in that axillary area. And if those pores are blocked, you don't get to sweat. And if you don't get to sweat properly, this is also because women will use and men antiperspirant. So when you use an antiperspirant, it's blocking up this important function of letting things out of the body. So looking and trying to find the most holistic deodorant may be in one's best interest. And while I'm there, I don't want to exactly jump the gun, but I'm not sure where else I would put this in. But I would remind our listeners of cosmetics in general. A lot of us like to use skin lighteners. We use hair relaxers. We use hair dyes. And one of the biggest things now is the acrylic nails. And though they may look cute, they may look good, you are actually allowing chemicals in your bodies. And lo and behold, women that work in nail salons with this number of types of chemicals, would you believe that they have a higher risk of certain types of illnesses, including cancers? So there's not anything wrong. It used to be nice. It used to be fashionable to go natural, but we got too many choices and options. So be careful with the acrylic nails. Be careful with deodorants and with all of the potions and the lotions that we put on our bodies, because some of them may be disrupting our system in some kind of way. I would add one more test, which is actually more of an invasive test. So what happens if the doctor sees an abnormal tumor or growth on the mammogram, on the ultrasound, or the MRI scan, or the thermography for that matter? They may want to do a biopsy. Biopsy simply means they want to take a little piece of the tissue. They want to make an incision in the breast tissue, which I think I've heard from some women that it may look painful, but there's not a lot of pain fibers in the breast tissue. But anyway, bottom line is that in order for them to make an appropriate diagnosis, they need a piece of the tissue. So that's known as a biopsy. And when the biopsy is done, it will then put the cancer into the proper light that it should be in. Is it a ductal cancer? Is it and so what they do is they do sort of a receptor type of test, Mia, where they're looking to find out are you estrogen positive or negative? Are you progesterone positive or negative? Are you HERS2 positive or negative? That's the human epidermal growth factor receptor, that HERS2. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the most lethal and aggressive form of breast cancer is what they call the triple negative. And African American women seem to be more likely to get this triple negative problem. And triple negative means that it's a little bit harder to treat. Triple negative to me also means that these might be the women that may be more exposed to certain toxins that may come in your food packaging. There's a lot of plastic inside some of the packaging that we get, or even cans. Canned foods may have something in the lining of the can that you didn't know could be potentially harmful. That's known as BPA. The cookware, you should not use the non-stick or like the Teflon cookware. You got to make sure it doesn't have something called PFAS. There's certain fabrics that could be problematic, and also personal care products. You know, when we talk about personal care products, we're back to those skin lighteners, the hair relaxers, the acrylic nails, and even some of the hair dyes, because those things will get in the body, they will get into the breast tissue and can't get out. can't get out because you're not breastfeeding, you're not milking, you're not getting stuff out. So that's why we have to be more cautious. And so sometimes I facetiously, because it's not funny, but I say, do you want to be drop dead gorgeous? Drop dead, yes, gorgeous. So sometimes we may have to put vanity aside to be healthy. Right?
Yes, we just have to continue to, keep educating ourselves. And, as you was talking about the nonstick pan, especially if they start peeling, we're still cooking in them. We need to throw them away or
Throw
just,
them away,
avoid them
yes.
completely because again, those pieces of stuff is getting into your food, and then you're digesting it. So we just have to be more health conscious and, do your research, check and see which pans or, polish or, makeup and things that are more, health conscious so that, we don't have the health issue, with that.
Right, right. I know we wanted to cover prevention.
Yeah, I want
And
to roll right talk about some self-care.
okay.
Because I
Well,
definitely, part of that is prevention, self-care practice that, we need to do, especially for those that are, during cancer and after cancer. And even
yeah,
for those that are not going through any chronic illness and conditions, we have to, implement some type of self-care every day. And I'm not just talking about going to the spa on the weekend,
right, right.
you know.
Well, one of the things that's a really, really big issue, no pun intended, is that our women have a tendency to be a little overweight, going all the way to obesity. And I see it a lot. I'm sure that there could be some explanations that we would use that maybe we're not exercising enough, we're eating too much of the wrong things. Also, the chemicals that really get me kind of fired up may be causing us to have some difficulty in losing weight. But here's the bottom line. The more weight that we carry, especially if it's not muscle, if it's more fat tissue, it means that women have more place to put these poisons. Poisons have a happy home wherever you got fatty tissue. So it could be that our Black women who are more susceptible to the most aggressive forms of breast cancer may have more toxins in the body. And but if you lose weight, if you lose 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 50 pounds, you will effectively make it more difficult for poisons to want to hang around in your bodies. And I sort of understand as a man that some women may not want to lose weight because they may feel like, well, I don't want to look unhealthy. I want to look healthy for my man. I want to look healthy for my boyfriend. But there has to be a point we have to take a look at your body mass index, otherwise known as the BMI, and make sure that you're not over that healthy mark, because you don't want to be drop dead healthy, gorgeous, but dead. And so we need to work on slimming down, and that goes for men and women. That goes for our children that are also climbing up in obesity statistics. But almost every cancer, almost treatment of every cancer is more difficult if we're carrying extra weight. So how can we get the weight off? We can do some regular exercise. We need to be moving on a daily basis. I'm not sure that I'm in full agreement with only 3 times a week. If it's possible for you to do some kind of strenuous walking or going up some stairs or going to the gym, we need to set aside 15 to 20 minutes every day. Have a routine that even if you had to break it into 3 5-minute intervals, but try to find the opportunity to get a little sweat going that is going to be in the column of helping you to live longer, moving as much as you can. And of course, how you going to move when you got them high heels, beautiful shoes on? So take a pair of tennis shoes with you so that when you do get to where you can walk, you don't have to feel well, I can't do that with these shoes. You want me to walk in these shoes? No, I want you to put some flat shoes on and get some walking in. Yes, that's what I want you to do. If you go to New York, where I'm from, you will see women dressed up real nice on the subway, but they got tennis shoes on because they got to walk. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so the other way that we're going to maintain our healthy weight beyond exercise and stretching is perhaps back to that diet that is going to be based more on fruits. And we want to try to minimize having, like, you got to have a steak every day, you got to have chicken every day, you got to have some pork every day. No, some days, why don't we have meatless days a couple times a week? And I'm looking at the studies, I'm looking at culture, I'm looking at the people who live the longest. They only consume 1 to 2 to 3% of their diet is animal products in terms of meats. They may use some meats for flavoring, but we have to start to look into some alternatives to animal products. And if they're seasoned well, you sometimes can discover some very delicious meals, Mia, without necessarily having big portions of meats. When I used to go to the restaurant, Mia, let's say like the Olive Garden, I used to feel compelled to have to eat this whole big plate of food, and it was 20 years later that I thought to myself, you know what? Why don't I split this food in half, give it to my wife, or take it home? I do not have to eat all this food. And this came maybe from your mother and my mother that said, you better clean that plate.
Yep.
And there's some fallacy there, because maybe we should be eating when we are hungry. And maybe, some of us will eat because the food is there, and we socialize, food is there, and we just feel compelled to have to peck and snack. But we have to maybe start to restrict our calories if we're trying to maintain that healthy weight, and to put better nutrients in our bodies that have antioxidants and phytonutrients. And so I take this green tea, but I take moringa in a capsule. I take spinach, chlorophyll, dandelion root. There's a lot of herbal things that you can use as a vitamin to build your bodies up so you'll have more energy. And if you're having still menstrual cycles and you're feeling tired, you'll be able to maintain. But you need more green things in your diet, which will also help the acidity that we sometimes have. Discover some new fruits. I have been shocked to find that there's still fruits out there that I didn't know about. So don't be afraid to explore other marketplaces, Asian marketplaces, or Hispanic markets, or even your own Jamaican or Trinidadian markets. They have wonderful things that you can learn how to prepare. Bitter melon it has anti-diabetic properties, for example. But what do you want to say about eating and weight maintenance, as far as what message you want to send to your ladies?
Yeah, we definitely have to give our bodies a rest, especially meat every day. I like to eat like salads and stuff. And then, when you eat when you're full, stop. Don't eat to a point where, now you get indigestion, and then you're out of breath and stuff. And we got to eat in portion. Like Dr. Smith always says, eat in moderation. It's so important, and give yourself a break, switch it up sometimes, ease up on the red meat, eat more fish, um, and stuff, the salads, the fruit, and even the junk food. If you got a sweet tooth, yeah, every once in a while, but find the healthy fruits to eat, and then depends on your health condition. If you're diabetic and stuff, you still have to watch the sugar and stuff. And it's important to talk to, a registered dietitian or nutritionist to put you on the right diet, according to, your health needs. So that's definitely important.
Yeah, if you don't have diabetes and you don't have irregularities with your blood sugar, I'm reading more and accepting the fact that intermittent fasting may play a
Yeah.
role.
Hmm.
And so we many of us are eating, we're overeating, but we're still malnourished. We're
Yeah.
eating, but we're not eating the dense foods that have lots of minerals and vitamins. So we still remain hungry. We're eating, but we're still hungry, and that's because those little cells really haven't gotten their proper nourishment. You don't get nourishment when you're eating certain junk foods. You still remain kind of hungry.
Yeah.
And we're not saying don't have some junk from time to time. Don't have desserts, but they don't have to be with every meal. And,
Hmm.
and so that is one way that we can restrict calories. The Japanese have a deal where they will eat until they're about 80% full. I don't know how they know that they're 80% full, but you're full and you don't even know it. And so sometimes we are guilty of of overeating
Hmm.
because we didn't really give it enough time to send that message to the brain from the stomach that, hey, I'm full. I cannot overemphasize the importance of certain things, a special vitamin like turmeric that
Yes.
that we could be including in our diets. You mentioned some coconut oil. Indians don't have as much breast cancer, prostate, colorectal, or lung cancer, and it's thought that they include turmeric, which is in their some of their foods as what's the ingredient that we use from time to time?
Like
Curry.
curry, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but
take the turmeric vitamin actually, and I
good
still
because
cook with it in my food
yeah,
as
because
well.
curry goat doesn't really count because we're probably not going to eat it that often. But you ladies, if you can find some turmeric and or some coconut oil as a supplement along with some other green compilations, I think that's going to serve a wonderful benefit to the body, not only to keep the bowels moving, but it will give you some of the micronutrients that our bodies are often lacking in. I would say we need some sleep. Let's try to avoid sleeping with the phone right beside us because those electromagnetic waves and fields may actually send a signal to your pineal gland that it's still light, even though the phone may not be lighting up. It's sending a signal, and so you're reducing the amount of melatonin. And women and nurses, I couldn't believe this, that nurses who work at night, they have a higher breast cancer rate than nurses that work during the day. And it's thought because they're not releasing that melatonin. Melatonin is also a supplement that some women will use. You may need a good doctor to try to help you to know how to make that decision. But good sleep does have an impact not only on you being able to cope with the weathering stresses that you have, but it may also help to prevent you from getting breast cancer. I know we've talked about a lot of things. One of the areas that really gets my interest goes back to these chemicals that lodge in our bodies. And so we have to be better informed consumers. There is an app called Yuka, Yuka. You can scan it just scan the barcode and it will tell you everything you need to know. Is it good, bad, or ugly? And this is also available to be used for your cosmetics as well. Let me say thank you. I know time is out, but thank you for allowing me to be a part of this program with you to discuss something that nourishes not only the baby, but you women nourish the world. Mother Earth is what I call you and breasts.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Lynch, for sharing so much vital information, to raise awareness on breast cancer and, early prevention. It's so important that, we live healthy. And again, education is everything. Our parents always say prevention is better than cure. So, and now if some of the folks would like to get in contact with you, how can they reach you?
Well, they can reach me through you, but my email address is ronaldmdlynch@gmail.com. And that would be a most direct way. I actually still do some consulting with clients and would be happy to hear from you. I'm currently in school at the University of Florida, getting a master's degree in public health. And so I'll be coming out of that closet really soon, sometime next year, where I'll be more available in a public way. But I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row and trying to learn everything I can to be able to improve the health of an entire community. So I want to thank you again. That's Ronald MD Lynch, LYNCH, @gmail.com, or contact Lady.
Glow 365 TV presents Sisters of Faith, hosted by Coach Lady Q, founder of Sisters of Faith in Pink and Pearls. Lady Q is an evangelist, certified life and relationship coach with a bachelor's in pastoral care. Lady Q will be streaming on how important it is to take care of your spiritual wellness, how to release your baggage while finding God's purpose in life, and the vital skills to build stronger relationships with a solid foundation, and much, much more. Now join Lady Q every third Tuesday as we stream on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on CRRFM.com as we talk about the mind, body, and soul. A conversation you do not want to miss, and one you will definitely want to share.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch, for sharing all these vital information on how to incorporate some of these lifestyle changes to help reduce the risk of developing breast cancer and, of course, maintaining wellness. And of course, we always recommend that you consult with your healthcare provider before making any drastic changes to your healthcare. Folks, don't forget to join the conversation this Thursday again, October the 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for part 2, entitled Breast Cancer, Breaking the Silence, as we continue the discussion on some of the challenges men and women face during and after breast cancer. Again, I would like to thank my special guest, Dr. Ronald Lynch, and you, the listeners and viewers. Until next time, stay safe and well, and continue to find your power of glow within the mind, body, and soul.
Dis-ease is the cure if the symptoms are consciously managed, as in soul therapy, which uses dis-ease as medicine. It exposes the root causes of the conditions, whether they be physical, in relationships, or in society. Soul therapy is complementary to all other modalities of healing or remediation because it accelerates cure, reduces suffering, and attracts the wisdom and energy to help prevent, treat, or recover from dis-ease.
It's time again for the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's annual Thanksgiving Drive. Please support our effort by donating any of the non-perishable items listed on our flyer. Those donations may be delivered to Silver Star Christian Church, 7510 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida, on Sundays, 12:30 till 2 p.m. or call 407-486-5001 or 407-292-3719, and one of our members will arrange to collect those items from you. The drop-off cutoff is November 12th, 2023. You may give cash donations at jaaocf.com. So thank you so much in advance for doing your part this year to help a family in need for Thanksgiving.
Hey, this is your girl Sophie G, your real sister from the Sophie G Show, and I am giving a shout out to KUO Magazine. They're dedicated to promoting a greater level of wellness in all of us. Yes, they bring out that glow. Caribbean Under One magazine features different cultures and personalities of both men and women from within our own communities, sharing biographies and their personal stories and challenges, even their secrets as to how they overcame the toughest obstacles they faced, with the hope of inspiring others. Caribbean Under One magazine gives back, and they acknowledge by honoring the ribbon of Survivors 365 by bringing awareness to those who have overcome and struggled with chronic illnesses and conditions. They inspire. KUO encourages and reminds us all of the true importance of having that glow in all our lives, a greater level of wellness. This is your girl Sophie G, your real sister, who promises to always keep it real. For me not lie, I'm not try. And I say, get your subscription today. Just log on, tell your friends, tell your family to join in and become a member, to subscribe to KUOmagazine.com today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
Hey, it's your girl, Coach Lady Mia, host of The Mia Allman Show, presented by Official Woman of Culture 365, and executive producer of Glow 365 TV and radio shows. As a certified master life coach and certified in other areas of mental health counselor and practitioner, self-care and boundary settings, health and nutrition, and as a wellness advocate, I share honest conversations with individuals on various topics that affect men, women, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to celebrating our cultural heritage. So join me every first and fourth Thursday right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio, online at crrfm.com, and also on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Glow 365 TV show. So tell a friend to tell their friends and join in on the conversation to find your power of glow that equals our greater level of wellness within the mind, body, and soul.